Very good. Okay, so r- I'm just recording now. I'm reiterating. We downloaded Zero Tier from zerotier.com. Once installed, it is in your taskbar on Windows. Right click, join new network, and then it should be added. And your address is going to be underneath managed address. If we're having problems with things working, sometimes we can add some checkboxes for, right now it's just allowing a managed addresses. Sometimes we can add these. I don't know what they mean. I just throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. Let's just try it by default and see what works. Um, so there's that. The only other thing that maybe you want to do is say zero tier, start it by default at login if you want to. That way you don't have to start it. Cool. And then on my phone, I have Zero Tier installed for iOS. I am going to navigate to it. That's not it. Where's Todd? Todd has a thing called VP Tools. There we go. So Zero Tier, right? So this is my online class. And then if I want to add a new one, I say add join a network. Sorry, I was trying to click on it. Use my fingers. All right, accept. And then I have to put in, unfortunately, that alphanumeric thing, right? So it's 48D6 023 023 C 4688 and then 683 and then C. All right, enable default route. I don't know what on demand means, so I'm not gonna worry about it. And then at the very bottom it says, or sorry, at the top it says add network. Going back up here, so it said add network, and then I could turn it on. Right, my phone can only be on one at the same time. My computer could be on multiple. Right, and so now my right now it just has the numbers. Uh, seems to be rejecting it, so I might have put it on. Let's go off. Yeah, you're on. Great. And then what's cool about my side of things, if I come back over here, I can start seeing people being added on, right? Therefore, I can add you and remove you. So that's my Mac. My Mac has that IP address. My um, my phone still is waiting. It sees it, but it's not broadcasting it, so I might have put the wrong thing in. Um, let's see, my PC is .61, so there's my PC, so we can see each other. And then what should work is we should be able to see each other. So my Mac is in somewhere else in Brooklyn and Williamsburg, and I can open up my command prompt again, and I can say ping 192.168.192. Everyone has the same first three, and then my Mac was a 233, and I'm getting data back from my Mac. So I'm bypassing NYU, and I'm able to do my own protocols, right? So we can connect our computers, and we can do OSC, we can do face tracking, right? So that's the whole joy of a free VPN. My phone is not doing great because I might have put it in incorrectly. So I might delete the network and start again, edit, and edit, I edit, and then delete the one that's not showing up. What's also kind of cool is you see at the very bottom, there's this 5023CED58A. I can actually take that and I can manually add it, I think, right? Did you change it? Let's see, flow rules. So it's really simple to set up, and this is really fun for testing multiplayer games, having to deal with like making online stuff. Manually add a node. All right, so let's see if I can manually add my phone. Let's see if it'll show up. All right, so it's 5023 CED 58A. and see if it shows up. One thing to note is that if you're on Windows 10, there might be a blue menu that comes from the right side. It says allow computer to be found. Say yes to that. Don't say no to that. That doesn't show up on Windows 11. Cool. So that should be straightforward. I'm still screen recording just in case you need it. 5023 CED4A. Still doesn't seem to know it. Unknown. Let me try one more time. Accept. And then probably copy it would be simpler, but whatever. 48 D6023. I wonder if it matters if it's lowercase. C 46886468683, and then C. All right, enable default route, add network. Let's see if it shows up this time. Cool. Great. So I need to have my phone connect with my device. So we're going to get into a facial animation real quick. So there we go. It says I'm on a VPN, so it should be working now. Yes, it's broadcasting, and now 35 is my phone. All right, so this is my phone. So that's everything I can do. I don't have an Android to show. And you can see what versions, like my stuff's probably a little bit old. Great. So how do we connect everything with Unreal? So let's go ahead and open up the project I've been working on all semester long. We got Billy and Bobby waiting for us. And the first thing we have to do to make sure that we have um, some plugins installed. Going back to the syllabus, we're going to take a look at a thing called LiveLink Face. And this is an app for iOS. This is made by Unreal, so I'm pointing it out first. It's free to use. In the syllabus, I do include one for Android. Called Face Mocap, and one called Hallways, just for webcams. So you can do everyone can do facial capture. I just happen to have iOS device. All right. Um, Live Link Face is right here. Open it up. I'm going to be using it with Live Link, which is ARKit. ARKit is Apple Blend Shapes. Look at that in 1 second. Don't ask again. Continue. And then see, it captures my face immediately. Right. This is the True Depth Sensing camera. All right. Let me pause really quick. Start recording again. Now we're recording again. Cool. So let's go ahead and see that, yes, I can see my face. Yes. So I'm going to hold down and see it's green at the top. It means it sees my face and it's live. I turn my phone. Shouldn't be live, but it sees me anyway. All right. I'm going to drag down from the top. I got the gear. I hit the gear now. All right. So I am sending live link data over 60 frames per second. And it's going to be called FaceCap. And when I go down here into FaceCap, there's different targets. So my target is my computer, right? And if I was trying to do this over my network at NYU, it'd be blocked. So that's why I have a VPN, so I can connect my phone to my computer. If you're doing this at home on your own home router, you're not going to have a problem. It's not going to be blocked. You might not be blocked sometimes here, but just in case you're coming up with issues, that's why I have the VPN. I'm going to go ahead and delete all my old targets. So I've noticed that when you have too many, it's like broadcasting it to everywhere, first of all. You'd be careful who you're sending data to. But second of all, it gets kind of confused when I have too much. So I'm going to add a new target, and I'm going to do it for my computer, which was 192. 168.192. And then if I reference my little thing, I got 61.61. And then port by default, leave it at the default port. Don't mess around with it. Nothing I know uses 11111. So you're good. Okay, so you have that going. I think everything else should be good. We could do a calibration phase so it knows more about my face, but I really don't have time for that. And I don't really need OSC because I'm actually just sending live link protocol. Cool. So I'm gonna say done, and again I have a little animation. Oh, that's it. At the very bottom right, you'll see it recognizes face, it doesn't recognize face, right? You can record things locally. In fact, you can record things locally and it'll give you a JSON file you can upload into Sequencer, and then you can record the audio. So you have really good audio because it's right here on your phone. You have your earbuds in, record audio. We will be doing in the second half of the semester lavalier mics that are recorded directly in Unreal Engine. I'm not going to worry about audio for right now because the character study is supposed to be silent anyway. So let's see if we can see this data inside of Unreal. All right. So I have my project open. I need to look for a couple of plugins, edit plugins, and I think it should be AR kit and AR kit face support. I also would need LiveLink, but I think I've already previously installed LiveLink for previous weeks. LiveLink, yes. We don't need any other LiveLink. Okay, restart now. And then, as I mentioned before, the Ready Player Me character already has this installed. So let's go to Bob, and we're going to create our new blueprint. We haven't really done that many blueprints. We did one for foliage in class that I showed. If you did the prerequisite classes, you might have created an actor blueprint for like a sconce with a light, you're pairing things. We're creating a new kind of blueprint that's called an animation blueprint that are the rules around getting animation data. This is how we'll do live mocap in this class. So I don't care about my I'm going to right click off of a skeletal mesh, which is pink asset, and say create animation blueprint. Right here, I'm going to call it ABP Bill, or is it Bob? It's Bob. All right. And because I turned in the plugins, I should have access to a node called LiveLink. Let's get in there. Let's look at the face. Get really in there. Ah, you're going too fast, camera. Which one's speed? All right, so now we have LiveLink, pose. All right, now I need a subject. LiveLink has its own window that's only on once you have um, turn on the blueprint, which is kind of funny. Things are in different orders. Virtual production, LiveLink, and I see that I have my phone, and it's called FaceCap, and it's green. If I was to cover my face, it turns yellow. It's still connected. It's not getting live data. So my phone and my computer are connected. Thank God. Because like these live demos get rough. All right, cool. So am I getting data? Let's see. Oh, got a compile. Hi. Do I have a tongue? So I'm animating my character in real time. It's not getting the best resolution. I can get closer, see more of my face. If I could go cross-eyed, I go cross-eyed. And then we have a giant shiny red button right here. Whatever I want to call it. Call it take whatever. The data is going at 60 frames per second to my from my phone. Most game engines do 30 frames. It makes the files lighter weight. 30 frames is fine. It's just same with the mocap. Mocap, we're recording at 240, but we reduce it to 30 frames. So there you go. I don't know what end after duration means. Oh, I could say how long do I want it to be? No, I'm just going to say take one and put it in my assets folder, and then it's underneath skeleton meshes, Bob, animations. I can maybe say face take one or something. Get ready, and uh, and then I've created a take. So my asset browser, I now have face take one. This is now an animation that I can plug in here, compile, and it's firing rifle. That was a joke. You guys got to stop me from doing that. Face take one, compile. There you go. So not actively doing it. That's my animation from before. Okay. So the big question right now is, how do I combine the two, right? Because I want to have my mocap already done, and I don't want to have to go back and put a phone on my face. So I want to put them both on here. Um, so there is a node called um, Sorry, there's a node called Layer Blend by Bone. Layer Blend. Let's just say Blend by Bone then. Layer blend per bone. And I could say live mocap goes here, and pre-recorded mocap can go here. And why did it say per bone? It's because I'm going to be layering it based off of, it's going to look at my spine and go up the hierarchy. And if I choose the head bone, it means everything above the head bone will animate the face. And everything below will be my mocap, right? You can have one mocap be one arm. You can use a bunch of these nodes and have five people be one character if you want to. Just use as many of these layer blend by bones as you want to. So you can have five live link poses from five different cameras if I wanted to. You just combine all stuff together, make a three-headed dog, whatever you want. Just need to make sure I say head bone. And it is case sensitive. So I'm gonna come over here to my skeleton and make sure I know. And here's all those morph targets. Remember, camel case. Those are already brought in by default. And go to my skeleton and look for my head and head. So everything above the head bone, I want to be the facial animation. Go back to, nope, here, and then say layer setup. What is it? The branch filter is on head, and it was capitalized. All right, so compile, and I'm animating a face at the same time that rifle is being animated. All right, this one isn't looping. If I go to my settings, I can probably find looping, play rate, loop animation, compile, and now I can record an animation, right? So get ready. This is firing, face. Okay, I'm firing and I have a face. Animation's happening. Tongue. Great. Cool. And now I've created an asset called whatever. If I go back to a sequencer, which I don't have one with this character in there, but if I were to, kind of shimmy over here and make a little secret character, I can have uh, the skeleton mesh Bob, and I can just have it using a custom, no, sorry, animation asset, and then choose firing face. And then you see it has my face and my stuff, and I can do my animations. Cool? Yes. The uh, the recording inside of the phone or inside of Unreal? Yeah, so all you have to do is hit this red button for recording, and it will record the animation. But sometimes you want it to not just be a face; you want to have it have an animation. So you can do this layer thing, and that way you can load an animation and have face live, right? So I'm still live, and then this red button means it records, and so face live, and then hit stop, and now I have a new animation called O3 that is that animation, right? Right. So if I don't care about the gesture, I just bypass that node. A- And then I'm just doing a face by itself. All right. So compile again, it's in a T pose, and I just can record a face like that. Cool. There's something I haven't tried yet, so I'm going to try a live demo. I saw this somewhere. Uh, in my Windows, there should be a thing called slots, animation slot manager, and this is by there's like a default slot, and then we can maybe make like a face slot. All right, there's a default group, and I think this is a way. We'll get to this in a second, but let me just do a face one by itself. Okay, so face by itself, face only, face by itself. All right, so recorded, done. I don't know what that means. It's got curves. Cool. And then if I can go, let's do a slot. Face. No. I have to learn how to do this. There's a way of adding slots so that we can add and sequence or stack them, and I'll have to maybe get a reference for you guys because I haven't done it before. Let's see. The default group. Let's see if I can do group. Let's see this as a slot. All results have been filtered. Default. Plus defaults. All right, I have something for you folks for recording later on, but this is where we're gonna blend it together for right now. So yes, Ready Player Me was ready to go. MetaHuman's ready to go. Let's go ahead and see how we can make our Make Human character go. Ooh, look at all the fun stuff. Okay, great. So I'm gonna close Unreal right now because I don't want to crash, and we're gonna get over to Blender. All right. So in my syllabus, there's a thing called Face It. And again, I have step-by-step instructions for how to use Face It to make blend shapes. Um, in the syllabus, I've also created a link to Face It, a Dropbox link. This is an older version. This is from 4 months ago. I tried the most current version. I wasted 2 hours this morning. Don't worry about it. This works fine, or hopefully. So download this, and then we're going to install it in the Blender. This is a zip file, so download Face It zip, and then when you open up Blender, um, we can load in the plugin. I already have it loaded in. It would be under Edit, Preferences, and then you'd say Install, and then find it in your downloads or wherever you have it. Face It, I think I have mine in the class demos. All right, you find Face It, and then you install it. You make sure it's turned on, just like we did for Rococo. Cool. I have it right here, and if I open it up, there are the different steps. I'm going to bring in a Make Human. This is Bobby from before, and because I used the script from last week for drag and drop, I got drag and drop. That's great. Let's do a little Blender shenanigans. Maybe drag and drop isn't so robust. There we go. So F focuses, right? Super easy to make sure you see them. I don't care about textures. The characters are already imported. Materials, textures, everything else is already in there. I just need the blend shapes. I'm gonna twirl down this, and I want to hide the bones, and then I'm going to hide the casual suits because we don't care about casual suits. And we need to start getting this ready for animation. Again, no matter where you're coming from, there might be different ways in which you need to prepare. This is just how to prepare a make human character for facial animation. So, first of all, the head is connected to the hands. We don't need this. We need the head to be by itself. So that is the base object. I'm going to go to edit mode, go to polygon mode, and select a polygon on the head, and hit the up button until I have all the head. All right, so this is the same way we did fixing the putting materials on Suzanne, uh, more towards the end, beginning. That's terrifying. All right, right click, and then say separate by selection. Great. So now we have two base objects. One of them happens to be the head, and one of them is the hands. We want to take the base object and rename it. Right. Like the one thing I don't know how to do is rename something. Hilarious. Okay, head. And then to maybe simplify things, we call this one body. All right, so if we go back to object mode, we see that body is body, head is head. Cool. Now it's time for some surgery. F. Some more shortcuts is if I hold down the F buttons, I can go F1, F2, right? Getting these views. If I hold down Control, it'll do the other way. All right, so easy way to see around the body. I'm going to hide the head. I'm not going to do anything with the hair, the eyelashes. Those can go away. Um, hair. Let's just do teeth. F for focus. Cool. And then I can go to edit mode. And then if I hit F2, I can see that the jaw is actually one continuous thing. So I'm going to go here and do a little jaw surgery, a little reconstructive surgery. I'm just going to select one, holding down Shift, those five, hit delete, delete faces, these four, delete, delete those faces. To the other side, those four. Again, I'm not a modeler. This is just something I taught myself also just to make faces animate. And if you're making your own custom ones, this should work. Cool. So now there are two separate meshes. In theory, they're not connected, but they don't know they're separate. So I'm going to select some of the teeth, a polygon on each of the lower teeth, one of the gums, rotate around. Wow, that was weird. Shift select again, one polygon on each of the teeth. In the same way, hit up. So I selected them all. Forgot that one. Up. And then right click, separate by selection. And now I have a lower jaw. We go back to object mode. You have upper teeth and lower teeth. Or if you want them alphabetized next to each other, you do teeth upper, teeth lower. All right, and the last thing I have is my polygon, low poly. What they're called low poly. They're eyeballs. So the eyeballs, there's two different options that are built in. I chose low poly because the textures are actually correct. But again, we go to edit mode. Sorry, to select it, go to edit mode, and then hit the up arrow, and then do the same thing. Right click, separate by selection. Cool. So back to object mode. That would be the right eyeball. I would say eye right, so they're paired next to each other, and this one be eye left. Cool. So that's everything. Let's turn them on. So we have eyebrows, eyelashes, head, lower teeth, short hair, tongue, and upper teeth. If we go back and hide the head, you can see that yes, there is a tongue in there. Let's hide the teeth, tongue. Cool. So now back to face it. Let's register face objects. We can just take all of them, right? Only the ones we need. We don't need male casual suit. We don't need body. Short hair, boom. So here's everything on the face and say register. And now it's saying which one's which. So I'm going to first of all choose the head, and that is the main one. Where my eyeballs at, eyeball left, eyeball right. And you see it's adding these little groups when it's had a group added to them. Do we have any irises? No. Do we have eyelashes? Yes, we have eyelashes. Eyebrows and eyelashes. No, it's a just eyelashes, not eyelids. Eyebrows. So eyelashes. Teeth. We got upper teeth. We got lower teeth. We got tongue. Tongue. I already did eyeballs. So the hair doesn't move, or it's attached to the head. Um, Eyebrow doesn't really move; it's attached to the head, so it bends with the mesh underneath it, I guess. The and everything else is assigned a group. If I have glasses, this is the rigid button down here. Things that are rigid don't move. I don't know, if you don't want an eye patch to move or don't want, I don't know, a pipe. I don't know. So anything that doesn't move, you would say designate it as a rigid type. Cool. So I'm done with assigning the groups. I'm going to move on to uh, rigging. So this is fun. This is called generate landmarks. We're going to go ahead and generate it. It's going to take us into a whole different mode. And it's created this mask. Again, this is called a HAR mask, HAAR. And then we just want to line up where the chin would go, where the eyeballs, center of the eyeballs would go, and then I'm trying to do it around like the side of the face. So that was just 3 clicks. I just clicked it, squeezed it, and squashed it again. And now I could say project the landmarks. Right, this is a flat face in front, and when I say project, it's going to go and stick to the face like it's like shrink wrap. Right, so project. That's fucked up. Let's reset. Generate landmarks. Let's try that again. That was not good. Generate, 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 project. Yikes. I've never seen that before. Let's try one again. Generate. And this is where you can also make it asymmetrical if you care. Let's do a little smaller. All right, it's gonna be a jerk to me. Let's just see. This won't happen normally. We're just gonna take the move tool and move these things to the front. Move tool, move these to the front. It's just a little much to the front. All right. So in general, it's on symmetry mode. Um, and I'm moving these things around. There's no way this is going to end up right. Let's see. What are you? I don't even know what you are. Does it say what it is? Let's go back and reset because this is not gonna be good. Let's put the whole body back. Let's escape. Escape. All right. Let's bring the whole body back because maybe I'm doing something by not having the whole thing here. Say generate landmarks. Try one more time. So bizarre. This is what I get for using an old version, right? Now no one's going to try this, and it's so empowering to have it be a tool you can use. We can do it wrong and see how funny that would be. Let's make it really small. Stay inside the face. Set landmarks. Let's hide the hair, which is just called short. All right, let's generate landmarks. I'm in object mode. That should be good. Eyes. Eyes. Can I just move them around now? Yeah, so that goes there. That goes there. That goes back here. That goes right here. This goes back into the throat. That goes on the chin. All right, this one goes in the tip of the lip. It goes in the chinny chin. This one goes kind of on the cheek. Tip of the nose. These all go down to the mouth. These all go to the eye. Anyway, there's a little bit of work, but it's cool and it works. Show how far do you want it to reach. This is really about the eyeball itself. This is about the lid itself. And then this is about the eyebrow itself, or the forehead ridgeline. Cool. That one comes in. And again, it's not asymmetrical. It's symmetrical, but you can't do asymmetrical. Let's move this one out. Right here. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's project now. All right, makes it a little easier. Chin, cheek. Well, that's not supposed to be this annoying. Cool. Lips. Lips. I think the tip of the nose. Eyeballs. Well, that's what I get for using an old version of a plugin. Boom. All right. We're just going to say generate face rec and see how horrible that turns out. Cool. All right. Let's see our expressions. So, all right. Let's bake you. And look at the shapes. So eye blink left. Let's say, oh, this we can add. Okay, display stuff. Great. Okay, reorder. Add source new. All right, I'll take a look at this a little further. But I've left in the syllabus a detailed tutorial on how to use Faceit that goes into too much detail. Um, but there's some sort of in between me doing it right and them doing it for doing it perfection. But at least it's there. It does work. I can give you the newer version if you want to. This is the version they're using in that video. And the idea would be that uh, cool. Then you can control it with something. Bake. Let's see if it plays. Right, it's going through and using face. All right, we'll give it a shot. Who knows? All right, so we'll go back to frame 0, and we can see that if we go back to the head, down here to data, we can make like the eye blink. Right, eye blink's not going to work. Look down. That doesn't work. Some of the face stuff was working. Jaw left, right, jaw left, jaw right. All right, let's just export file. Export FBX. We don't care about textures or materials. We don't want to apply. Okay, we don't care about animation. We don't care about geometry. What we don't want to do is we don't want to apply modifiers. These are modifiers, and we don't want to apply them. We want them to maintain as data parameters. All the other things, we don't want leaf bones. We don't need the animation. Otherwise, we could bring in the animation of it messing around. That should be fine. Let's call it. We can not record over Bobby just in case we need to use it later on. So my downloads, I'm gonna call this Bobby face. My downloads export FBX. Cool. Let's go back to Unreal, which I've closed. Cool. And let's take a look at the folder for Bobby. Bobby's right here. We're now going to open up the skeleton mesh and re-import base mesh with a new file. Or can I just bring in, no, bring in the new file. So I'm not referencing the old one. I'm doing this new one called Babby Face. I say open. Didn't say successful, but it didn't mess anything up. That's good news. Let's go back to our miscellaneous mesh. We want to import morph targets. Let's make sure. Yeah, the vertex groups, jaw forward. It is working. File export. Let's go ahead and bake animation. Don't need that. Sure. Say 2. Well, let's try one more time. Otherwise, I will come back to this later on to not waste any more time. We should have the option to re-import with a new file. Page 2. Give it a second. All right, let's see. No luck. All right, I'll take a look at what's going on with this. It was one thing I really didn't have time to get to this morning because I spent 2 hours on the newest version, which wasn't working at all for me. But I've done it for 3 years in a row, so um, hold tight on that one. But everyone, I don't know if anyone's actually using Make Human. I just wanted to show you the whole process. I want to show you that it wasn't that hard. Um, But anyway, let's move on with our showcase. All right. So, moving on from Face It, we're going to finish up the animation, and we had a sequencer here called Gym Midterm. And one second, let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. GVU, Dropbox, all notes. Cool. Then we're already ahead of everything. Okay, cool. So I have this whole scene. We've already done it. Open up the sequencer. We had three shots, right? The focus pool, the POV, or what's called a snorri cam, and then the dolly that looks up at him. But I want a final scene. I want like a scene where he walks triumphantly away from the gym. That's gonna be a whole other level. I'm gonna choose that level from this cave that I added in as a map, and I'm gonna do the demonstration. And so this demonstration, we might have looked at it very briefly. It was a little bit underlit. Go ahead and change the lighting a little bit. And then I'm gonna pretend like this is the really, really fancy gym on Fifth Avenue. All right, so Bobby's gonna walk away from there with his uh, animation for catwalk walking. We're gonna rotate Bobby 90 degrees, and then I'll add a sequencer here. We have assets, sequencers. Well, this one would be cave sequence. We'll add in Bobby. The animation's called catwalk forward. There we go. That catwalk, maybe another catwalk. Blend them together. Remember that we want to blend it on what foot is it hitting? It looks like it's hitting the right foot, so we'll make a blend on the right foot. Right foot, right toe base. It's not doing it. Previous right toe base, right foot. That worked better. There we go. Yes. No? Okay. So that's good for this take. Um, Fantastic. So the shot's going to be that short. And then I'm going to do another camera move. I'm going to add a camera right here. Well, actually, I'm going to move my camera I want it. And I want to maybe watch Bobby at here, do the transform, and then as Bobby gets closer, I'm going to lift up and let him walk out of frame. Something like that. Turn and walk triumphantly off frame. Cool. So that's in my camera cuts. I lock in. There it is. So how do I connect the two? I can render them out in separate frames. That's fine. But if I want to make the whole thing play back in real time, I can. So there is a thing we're going to work in the rest of the week, rest of the semester, which is various levels. You can stack levels on top of each other. I can try opening up something real quick to make it more apparent. Library. This would be in 427. So when you're working with a lot of levels, sometimes you want to work with like an empty level that you can turn on sub levels so that you can have everything kind of continuous. Whenever I do like a whole show, it's all one big empty level that houses a bunch of sub levels. So the level that never goes away is called your persistent map. and it's going to be blank in this instance. So I'm going to create a new map called I don't care, main, and it's empty. And inside of here, I'll also make a sequencer called sequence main. Boom. And then inside the sequencer, I'm going to add in a track for what's called a camera. No, not camera cut. It's going to be a shots track. Shot track. I can first add in a shot track for Jim. See that the Jim shot is already 15 seconds. Extend out. And then after 15 seconds, put my playhead here. I'm going to add in the next shot, which will be cave. And then I can end the whole thing. Oops, undo. End the whole thing after cave sequence. So now I need to make the levels on and off. All right. So I'm going to add in another track called a level visibility track. And I want to add the two maps. So go to the root, and we have demonstration, which was in cave, and then we have showcase for home gym. All right. So showcase one word, capital S. Demonstration one word, capital D. So let's first of all add in showcase. So I'll make it what tracks are visible. Showcase. Hit enter. We double click here. Because I haven't added the levels yet. So let's go ahead, before we make them visible, go back up a level. Before we add in all the stuff we need to add in the levels. So window, levels, I can dock it over here. And this is the persistent level that I talked about. Underneath cave, we're going to bring in demonstration. Demonstration, we want, see it says loaded by blueprints. We're going to turn it off right now. And then we're going to bring in gym and bring in showcase. There we go with showcase. And then I come down to my outliner and I have visible as showcase. And right here, at 15 seconds, I want it to disappear. So I'm going to split it. And on the right side, I'll make it invisible or hidden. Cool. So showcase. And then for the cave at 15 seconds, I want to bring in another visibility track. And this one is called demonstration. It's invisible at the beginning. And it's called demonstration. Hit enter. And yes, it is invisible until I edit, split it, and on the right side, make it visible. There it is. So we got this take to that take on the main sequencer. I think it's because I added in, I think I was having this problem last week too. where I overdid the values. Let's put this at 1. So here, it's going to be too dark. I'm going to only show what's in the current level. And my current level, I want it to be demonstration, so that I can find just items that are in that cave. And I do want to see if I cannot figure out my lighting situation. And we're almost done. I think we already looked at post-processing. For those folks who have been thinking about your color correction and stuff like that, that's with your post-processing. This is where you add in various uh, effects, right? You can add in tone and highlights, midtones, shadows, right? So you can change colors of the saturation, your tones. You can also find great post-processing things in the marketplace that'll just do cool settings for you. Let me get the color fixed first to see, or see if I can get the color fixed first. Never, never. Let's go into project settings and look for rendering. Make sure that I have auto exposure off, auto exposure off. All right. So maybe the light source is too. So bizarre. Light source is on. Enabled. All right. So if it's going to cause you problems, what we'll do is we'll fix this sequence, and then we can always lower the other sequence. So I'll go up to here, make this the right lighting again, and then in here, I go into showcase, see if there's a post processing, and then adjust its exposure. So crazy. Nothing wants to work for me right now. Speed up, speed down. Are you enabled? Mm. Enabled infinite extent. Enabled. Priority 1. And now, all right, something is wrong with post processing. I'm sure I'm going to look it up and find it. Anyway, so this is a little bit overblown out. This one's a little bit darker, but I'll fix that. I'm sure it's just a checkbox somewhere. We're gonna do a render next to your cinematics. You might have an option for doing the legacy. You want to do the render queue. If it's not enabled, it should by default be enabled. You might want to look at render queue, movie render queue. I have a link to some additional resources for render passes if you want to do, if you're a compositor, like do multiple passes. And then we just need to do the settings for it. So render this movie to a video or image. So this is an asynchronous render. We want to render out the main sequence, which will bring in the subsequences, right? And just make sure we got that clear. As we have this shots track, then I can then double click into and edit the previous takes. Right, so I can keep on editing my previous sequences and then go back up a level, and then I'm at the master level. Right? So you can nest uh, kind of recursively like 3 layers worth of sequencers for animation. And then, by the way, hitting G, not H. You can G, and everything's hidden. Not my day. Doo-doo. I made everything hidden in the scene. That's really funny. Show up. There you are. Get rid of the G to get rid of the game objects. Cool. So that's how you navigate the whole sequence. Bring back our render settings real quick. And then we're going to be doing this sequence, which has these cameras in it. What's the configuration? I recommend not doing JPEG. I would recommend doing PNGs. A little better, or you can do EXR if you want to do it. Do you need alpha? The output setting is where do you want it? This goes to your save directly by default. That's why your save folder can sometimes get really big, and why we won't sync it when we do a bigger project shared by each of us. Do we want to do a custom frame rate to override it? No, I want to use 30 frames. That's default. Just use all my frames. Cool. And then I want to add in maybe anti-aliasing to make it look nicer. There's two kinds of anti-aliasing. There is spatial, which is looking at different buckets of anti-aliasing and making things look nice and smooth. Or there's temporal, how many frames forward and backwards do you want to add kind of a blend to? It doesn't matter. I would say spatial, a lower number. For a for this rendering, we can do more for the temporal. Override what my anti-alias settings are and do FXAA. There you go. So that's going to take like a little while for each one to render. If I'm going to use this a whole bunch of times, I can always save as a preset. So I can always load it back in again and then say accept. And again, those are the settings. That's a sequencer. That's the level that it's referencing. And we have it all nested together. And then when I say local, you can make a render farm and do it remote. Local will then render it out. And then I just need to look at why I'm getting the wrong um, exposure settings. But that should be pretty much it. I did kind of waste. I did a big time suck with that Faceit plugin though. Let's see. And- All right, so this is just showing a low quality preview, and now it's rendering out frames. Uh, so you see how the subsamples. This is like the 64 times 4, right? So it's doing all these passes frame by frame. And then it's going to take me about 9 hours to do this. So it's like an asynchronous render using a real-time rendering tool, right? I'm going to hit stop here and cancel out of this. So I can always go to my saved folder and find it. So in class, saved, movie renders, and there's the 2 frames I did. All right, very dark. Then I just did a quick little reconnaissance. I'm going to delete. I'm going to save. Oh, I'll show this after I stop recording. Break that down. So I'm going to go back up to my project and I'm going to take my config folder, which is basically my preferences for how my Windows layout. I don't need my saved because we just saw that one. And I don't need my intermediate. I'm going to delete this and I'm going to open up again. And maybe this is actually something that works for other things. So it'd be funny if that's what's fixed this one thing that's been a bugaboo for this. All right, we're compiling shaders. We can see that Swift shaders, compiling shaders for me. Four, 5, 2. while that's doing its thing. So the map I was going to show was the streaming levels, level streaming, just to get an idea of how level streaming works. So if you look at, this is obviously a 427, but if you look at levels, so you have these different levels that are streaming on, and the same way that I'm doing them on top of each other and having sequencer divide them up, you can also have them like be triggered by things and then by blueprints open up and down, right? So you can watch the levels turn off and on as I get to these little trigger boxes. So again, this is just kind of how you free up resources by getting rid of things you're no longer looking at, is by having all these sub levels. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's take a look at don't care, and let's take a look at our assets main. All right, so now we open up our sequencer. For here, we can be inside the level for showcase and look at our post processing. And now look at exposure. It works. So I just did a quick search that said delete your config files, and now exposure will work. So I was kind of fighting that, and I wanted to give you guys a solution. So there it is, locked in here. Maybe make it a little darker. And then when I get to my cave, double click on the cave, and that's only because I have it so that I'm only looking at items that are in my current level. Otherwise, it would show all of them. It makes it a little easier. And I have post filtered here, and I go here, and then who knows? I'm glad I resolved it, and there we go. Maybe a little much. That's because I blew out that directional light when I was trying to solve this. See, there we go, a little more subtle. Cool. Type in G to hear the items, and now I can open up my render queue again, and then I have my preset from before. Sure. And then there's my preset from before, except, and maybe it was a little bit too much, so maybe I want to reduce the amount of anti-aliasing and just say 2 and 32, accept, and render local. Again, I left a link in the syllabus for doing more with render queue. Obviously, post processing, now that it's working, I can actually change the color correction settings. But if I try to crash this, it's just going to crash. So we'll cut our losses since it's the end of class. Uh,